Happened in the 90's.
Drought is in. If you don't know, well, where on earth have you been? Yeah. Don't try to sell me, I know what tastes good. We know while the best things always so misunderstood. Just give me what the doctor ordered. Just what the doctor ordered. Hey, give me a Dr. Pepper. We want it. Hey, Dr. Pepper. Dr. Order. The taste of sweet. We love it.
Man, what's going on with you, bro?
Well, Steve, aside from being on the phone with insurance companies, which I want to, buddy, well, let's bleep that. I just want to, I want to do evil things based off of the, let's call it customer service I've been getting. But this isn't a medical or an insurance podcast. I don't want to get into that too much. But fuck you, Anthem, just first and foremost for this all this bullshit. So I'm coming in super hot today, Steve. So if I sound a little agitated or aggressive, that's why. I just yelled at Cindy and I yelled at Cheryl and then I yelled at somebody who I didn't understand what their name was, but she got it too. And then I got back to Cheryl and got disconnected. So I didn't get all my rage out, but I got the point across. What's going on
Cheryl
with you
give
today?
you sass?
No, it's not sass. I've been dealing with the problem for about 2 months straight of either a massive medical bill that I shouldn't have to pay or the incompetence of an insurance company and especially pharmacy that they're attached to in getting a drug I need as a cancer survivor. So for about 2 months, I've either been arguing that I shouldn't have to pay $5,000 for 30 days worth of a drug, or I've been talking to somebody in one of two organizations about how to get over this and why they've made a mistake and, arguments, but this is 2 months. So recently it's gotten to a boiling point where, I went through the list of people I went off today. That's just today. There's about 10 people just in the aftermath of these conversations in the last week that have just gotten it to, me yelling, me in tears, very intense shit. But to say that medical bills, insurance, and all of that is basically so confusing to the point where I almost think it's a tactic that they use to make you just pay a bill. They'll run you through 8 weeks of something only to get you back to square one and start using terminology you don't understand to explain why, nothing's happened. And it is a really, I would like to get off this, but it is just something that's very fucking frustrating as somebody like I'm not a dumbass. I'm not the smartest guy, but I have insurance. I have a job and the insurance is from the job and it's good insurance. And yet still every fucking week I have to deal with some problem in getting medical bills paid for or pills I need as a cancer survivor. And these aren't even fun pills. These aren't the good ones. This is just some shit just to make sure my fucking legs and arms and shit don't swell up. So again, if anybody else can sympathize with this, let's light some joints, let's light some weed up and try to calm down because my blood pressure doubled today after yelling at, 3 or 4 people. And it's just something I wish I didn't have to do on a daily basis.
I wish none of us had to deal with any of this shit because the medical issue in America, man, it could be improved. What will it take? I feel like there are a lot of people working just to barely be able to live, man, whether that is literally or in the figurative sense, man. And like these hospital costs, these fees, going to the ER, then prescription, that's a whole nother story.
And you'll ask people put it to you like this, Steve, at your best as an adult, Have you ever been able to afford a pill that costs you $5,000 for a bottle of a monthly pill? You need so much for a month. It costs $5,000, and on top of rent, car, bills, food, all that shit, weed, whatever you want to put on it. Could you ever afford a $5,000 bill like that? You know?
No, never.
And if you ask the people that are demanding money on the phone from the company, what's really sucks is there's no humanity to the people you're talking to. They're like, well, there's just no money left in the copay assistance program, sir. So I don't know what to tell you. And that's basically what you get. You know,
but in fairness, man, I mean, what can they do? They're employees.
Yeah, true.
At the end of the day,
it sucks, but that must suck for them, because I've worked in customer service where you have to absorb abuse because basically that's your job. And they got these people dialed into something so next level that they don't give a fuck. You know, it's basically get them to cry, hang up, transfer them to somebody else, rinse, repeat until you get off the phone or you just agree to pay the bill. So it ain't fun, but I'm alive. So, you know, bottom line, I'd rather be alive and having to deal with this than dead. So I guess, you know, that's a plus. But if I could get this to stop, my dream is this, Steve. We get rich off this podcast, independently wealthy to the point where we can do whatever the fuck we want. And I get to set aside some money to create a nonprofit to aid cancer survivors through all of this mess that you have to get through, because you got to, like, from my perspective, I had to go through cancer. I had to go through all the insane shit medically, physically, mentally that goes along with that. But then when you get done and they're like, hey, man, good news, you don't have any disease anymore. You're cancer free. Then the real, like, legit, the real torture comes, because you have to start dealing with companies who are no longer willing to assist you and all this shit. So hopefully I can start a nonprofit organization that is for cancer survivors and people with cancer that can basically be a social worker with assets to provide to these people so that they have money. Just, it's not for partying and shit. It's just to pay for these pills, because they'll try to bang you for, if I didn't have insurance, what I'm talking about would cost $8,000 a bottle.
And that's with insurance.
No, that's like, if I didn't have it, that's how actually it would probably be more than that. But with the insurance I have, it's $5,000 a bottle with insurance.
That's still ridiculous, man.
So it's one of those things where I could get on a soapbox and talk about this forever because I have legit personal experience with it, but I'm not the only one. And there's people that have to go through this without the assets that I had, because I went to a good hospital with good social workers. So they'll, you know, provide you with detailed explanations of what to do, how to do it. They might even do it for you if you need them to. So in that regard, I'm very lucky. And I know there's a lot of people that don't have that. So yeah, that's actually one of my good guy dreams. You know, I got a lot of like, give me money, like all these like rap hip hop dreams that I have, or whatever you want to call it, like selfish shit. But if I could do one unselfish thing, that for sure would be mine, is that to just help people. Because it could, like, imagine how rich you'd have to be able to afford a bang like that on your pocketbook every month. And guarantee you, there ain't many cancer survivors that have a job after they get done not working for however how long it took to get rid of the cancer that can afford that. So note that on this episode, this is when I started my idea for a nonprofit. And maybe in the future, we're going to look back on this and be like, wow, these guys with this negative talking podcast actually came up with this really generous idea in this episode. So hopefully that happens, man. You know, there's a lot of those organizations, but I definitely would like to help out in that way. I think it's really important. And also fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer, fuck leukemia. And both of those have been around for so long. We should already have more of those with what you're talking about. More people getting the kind of assistance that they need, because man, when you're going through the conduit of these insurance companies, man, like I said, these people are employees, and you know they're getting the same answer that you can probably get yourself. They're just people that are convenient to yell at and gripe at, and I get it. I'm there a lot of times dealing with customer service. It just there's got to be a better way, man. There's got to be a better way. Like these insurance companies, like how much help are they really, man? Because even with coverage, you're still fucking busting out your back pocket.
I mean, and they don't give a fuck about the actual reality of the situation. You know, it's like when you ask anybody, whatever level you get to, I've gotten up to like 5 transfers to a manager or an emergency, whatever they want to call it. And it's just, and again, I've been there as a customer service rep. You just throw on that dead inside voice and you just start repeating regulations and reasons why and blah, blah, blah. And so hopefully, you know, now the medicine's there. It's good medicine. It just costs a lot. So hopefully bringing awareness to it just by talking like this, you know, usually we're a goofy podcast. We kind of got into something serious here, but, you know, it just even for people to know that that's a situation, because, you know, even the cancer itself, I thought it was a kid's thing. That was wrong. I got it. And then all this other stuff that you just don't know happens. The more information you can get to people who are about to go through the same situation I'm going through now, you know, the less stress that they're going to have to get. Because ultimately, when you get done and you've actually survived cancer, the last thing you want to fucking worry about is paying bills about it. You know what I mean? It's just like you should be able just to enjoy your fucking life. But that's just not how it's set up. So, you know, we're smart guys, Steve. Again, this is about to pop off. This happened in the 90s. It's about to be a movement. We're going to start it. And once we get some momentum, we get some money under this. That's one of the things I would like to do, because I think that's something that could really just, even if it's a small number of lives, just even if one person doesn't have to go through what I'm going through or the multitude of things I've gone through related to this, then you've definitely done your job. So,
man, and you know, like the people who can actually make a huge difference are the motherfuckers who are going out in space. Like Richard Branson, that's great.
Exactly, dude.
Jeff Bezos, I'm so glad you finally got to see Mars. But man, dude, you know what be a big help? If you stayed your funky ass down here on Earth and help out millions of people. And I hate counting people's pockets. I hate counting another man's pockets. And I'm sure they have given out to several charities and contributed to in so many like philanthropic ways. But damn, man, like, y'all motherfuckers got $1 trillion put together. You two and Bill Gates, man. If y'all put $1 billion on some shit like this, man, like, dude,
$1 billion,
like, just
dude,
ease.
$1 billion straight up like that. You know, I don't know the figures. I don't know what the math equation is, but like, put a bill up a piece, and like maybe not all the shit will be taken care of, but a good deal of it will. And you know, it is what it is. It's like I'm like you. I get it, like a hardworking dude like Jeff Bezos or any of these people we're talking about, you know, you have the money because of some shit you really push forward and because of your effort. But at the same time,
they had a dream.
If I envision myself being at that level and having so much money that you could fucking burn it, you know, it's really, you never spend it unless you really go out of your way to. It's like, why not? You know, and for those people at that level, doing that and being charitable, you just end up getting the money back anyway, you know? So please, hey, Jeff, I know you're listening on your $1 trillion yacht, space yacht, whatever the fuck you got. Like, you know, break us off a little bit, break off the cancer patients, just a bill. I mean, $1 billion is to you is just like tip at a restaurant for me. So let's make this happen.
Yeah. Richard Branson, dick.
That guy, I don't know what to feel about that spaceship. I saw that, and it's like in one way, it is like really inspiring that this guy that's been his dream. He's so rich, he got it to happen and stuff. But I'm like you, it's like I see that, and I'm like, damn, that costs a lot of money. I wonder what not being old in space and, you know, and instead of giving that to like what you said, medicine would have done, you know,
Right.
but it's not my money. So
Like, yeah, man. Like, dude, that he had a vision just like Jeff Bezos, just like Bill Gates, and like they're entitled to live out their dreams and fantasies. But like, I get these notifications and like from Google and all of the Yahoo News and shit. Like Richard Branson finally goes out in space. He like, and I'm just like, okay, bro, like that's great, that's awesome, man. But like, I can't be too like rooted behind that shit because meanwhile I'm down here with rotten teeth and shit because the fucking dentistry system here is like, oh yeah, to get that pull, that's like $500. Motherfucker, I got insurance. Oh yeah, yeah. If you didn't have insurance,
not the
you
right
have to...
kind. Dude,
Yeah,
don't even get me started about dentists because every time I go, I'm the same way, dude. Like this shit looks okay, but the shit in the back is a mess. And it's like when you go to a dentist, I've even done like, hey, I have this insurance. Am I good? Yes, come in, come see us. You're good. You go in, they get you all set up, tell you everything that's wrong. And right as they're about to do whatever they got to do to fix it, they're like, oh, by the way, your insurance isn't covered. This is going to cost $20,000, whatever insane shit. It's like, this ain't, how is it this expensive? I don't get it. I don't want to come to you, mother. Knock all these fucking things out of my mouth so I can just be like my granny and just be all soppy gobbed up and with some big fucking teeth.
Oh yeah, give me some veneers or some shit like, but that costs like $1 trillion. But you know what people are doing now, man? A lot of people are going to South America and just get like for something that would cost $15,000 a year, you could probably spend like a rack or 2 racks down there and get your whole shit done.
You just got to like be comfortable doing that because it's like, okay, because somebody said that to me out here a while ago because I was going through some dental shit. And kept going through that. And they were like, go to Tijuana. I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I get it, but it's just like, damn, it's a dentist, you know, like the shit I got to do, they're going to have to numb me and do all this shit. And if I can get it done on the cheap, cool. But my problem is like basically either save a tooth or pull it out. And my philosophy is pull the shit out because that's always the cheapest. They just don't ever want to tell you that. So they can get you to pay for like a $30,000 porcelain, some shit. So, hey, Steve, is this the broke guy podcast?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Shit. I had a handwich sandwich before we got on this podcast, dude. You want to know what that is? A piece of fucking bologna and some cheese on top of that motherfucker because I currently don't have bread. Why don't I have bread? Because I'm putting all of my bread into my ashy ass Nissan Altima. Broke man, sad man Steve over here. And that's a whole nother deal. But, you know, once I stop spending money on my Nissan, I got to go to the dentist and give them like $5,000 just to give me a rinse.
I mean, I don't know. We're both I ate peanut butter on a spoon for lunch. So, you know, we ain't doing this for the money, guys. So if you're out there thinking me and Steve are in Lambos living that, you know, 1% or YouTube life, that's not the case. Not the case
nah,
at
man.
all.
Dude, I'm about 2 car breakdowns from selling crack cocaine. So if you see me on the block, don't say shit.
I mean, I've been there. I remember one time me and a previous roommate that I'll just leave his name off this for legal reasons. Literally, yeah, you know, we're literally within a phone call away from taking all the money that we had in both of our bank accounts and doing the initial investment into harder drugs to sell in the shitty area that we lived in. I'm not even, I wish I was joking about this, Steve, but I'm not.
Dude.
And to speak also on the poverty level and the scumbaggery I've been a part of, there was once a moment in my life where I was so broke in Los Angeles that when they started allowing for self-checkout in grocery stores, I considered that an opportunity to get a lot of discounts, let's say, you know, because I wasn't being monitored. So there was a lot of free gratis groceries that I got because I had to do their job. So, you know, is that good? No, but when we were talking about being broke, I just want people to know I've been there. I'm coming out of it. It is actually like a pretty positive story in my regard, but I've been 5 seconds away from trying to manho, basically, you know.
Shit, I'm like the line is like right there for Steve G right now, man. And you know, like society tells us to not fat shame, and I've done it from time to time, even on this show. And I only fat shame motherfuckers who ain't trying. But you know, a lot of people, not enough people are talking about broke shaming, and I'm sick of it. I'm broke, but I'm trying. I have a Nissan that won't cooperate. It's not a team player. It won't let me be great. It's like, goddamn, you're like an unappreciative girlfriend. You get me some new tires, bitch. I just bought you a new engine. Like I can get you that shit. I could get you that shit if you give me like a couple months to where I ain't gotta keep putting in.
Car. Fuck these lights that just come on. I'm with you. I used to have cars overheating. It was like, I got a new car. It's overheating. Okay, there, it's gone.
Ooh, look at that Honda. I bet they got AC. Bitch, I'll give you AC if you fucking let me live for like 3-4 months. We're gonna be hot in this leather seats all fucking summer, bitch. If you're not gonna let me be great. We supposed to be together, bitch. That's why I got that bitch at the top. Well, yeah, let's do this shit, man. So this is Steve G and Matt G. What happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about things that happened in the 90s. So get out your Testaverde jerseys and call Toe Jam and Earl, because just one of them days when you don't want to wake up, everything gets fucked, everybody sucks.
DJ Lethal, bring it on. I mean,
it's one of them days.
Fred, can we get a song about being broke now, please? I need an anthem for the broke man, please.
Didn't they have a song called Broke?
Well, we need to update it. We need a 2021 version, Steve. I guess we're gonna be the arbiters of new metal now. So get a red hat. Let's turn it on sideways and just get this popping. So,
man, we're talking about things July 22nd, man. We're gonna be talking about some festival that happened in 99. We're going to be talking about a little bit of movies, a little bit of wrestling. We're going to be talking about a little bit of cannibalism. And then we're going to do something a little special today. We're going to have a versus.
Are we going to fight, Steve? Physically? I mean, I wasn't prepared.
This is a duel, buddy. We're going to be doing a versus where Matt is going to pick 5 of his favorite wrestling intros from the 90s, and I'm going to do the same.
And we're going to come to some kind of agreement as to which one's better. Who picked the best fucking list? I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but when we're done, there's going to be some definitive answers as to who had the best fucking theme song in wrestling in the 90s. So get ready.
I got all of them.
Oh, Steve, please. I'm not going to just give in to the fucking shit talking yet. I will. I think you're going to be devastated by the end of what we're about to do with this versus. But, you know, before we get into that, I just wanted to discuss something. This isn't necessarily about today or July 22nd, but it's related to the 90s and most specifically the movie Space Jam. I have seen the remake. I know you haven't, or whatever, the reboot or the sequel, whatever you want to call this. And while I've heard many people complain about the quality of the movie, I'm not going to just bash it, because I will say, as a nerd and as somebody that just enjoys when people wholeheartedly just do fandom shit, some of the movie is fun. They reference a lot of Warner Brothers properties, you know, Harry Potter. Think of whatever's involved in Warner Brothers, old Batman movies, new DC movies. They reference everything. So in some ways you get that, but I'm getting sick of people, movie companies, whoever. This isn't LeBron. This isn't on him. They brought this to him. But can we stop taking things that were done great and like bringing them, updating them, and releasing them as something that is so much less quality than the original material that it's almost insulting to the people who made the orig. I'm just getting sick of this reboot mentality that we're stuck in, where everything that we love from the 90s is being brought back, revisited, rebooted, remade. And I can't think of any that's worth it. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Corporations kill creativity, Matt. And back in the 80s and the 90s, man, I think Hollywood was more creative. They had these unique, profound ideas that have never been implemented in movies before. You might have had inspirations from earlier films, but they were doing things that were cutting edge. And like all of that rebooting, revisiting shit wasn't happening in the 80s or 90s, man. Yeah, they might have done some here, updated some shit from back then, but not at the volume we're at now, man.
It's like there's literally everything they're bringing to a movie. I don't know who's responsible, whether it's the movie company themselves or the people who are creating these properties and writing scripts, but it seems like the only thing being made that's getting publicized, at least, are these reboots. There's no originality, like you said. Like when Space Jam originally came out, other than it having Looney Tunes in it, there wasn't much of a history of this. We had Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Cool World, if people remember that. And maybe it was because of technology, whatever it was. I don't know if it's that made them have to work harder to get it out, and thus the property itself was of more quality. But when I watched this Space Jam thing, and I said this to you when we talked about it like yesterday, I think, when I watched it, I got the vibe that, and if you've seen Wayne's World, to anybody who listens, in Wayne's World, they make a funny joke about shameless promotions in movies where they're like, we'd never do that. And then they hold up a piece of Pizza Hut pizza and basically
with some Doritos.
Yeah, exactly. So they do that. But this whole movie seemed to be that, but only for Warner Brothers. It was like they threw a few other things in there, but it was just like Warner Brothers going, hey, we can't make a movie called Warner Brothers the Movie. This is that. And I just
because we can.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I get it. They have a lot of properties, but it just seems like heavy-handed. It doesn't seem original. I respect LeBron for doing it. I'm not a LeBron hater. I love LeBron. I think he's a badass. And I understand why he would want to do this. MJ did this, and not to compare him to MJ, but there's a lot of that. And to have the opportunity to do this, he has kids. He's got a lot of kids that look up to him. And cool opportunity. He got to see Space Jam. You know what I mean? I'm assuming he watched that as a kid. And so I would never blame him for it. He actually wasn't terrible in it. I mean, he's a fucking basketball player, so you're going to get what you're going to get. But and
it's for kids. I think a lot of people overlook that.
And the other thing I wanted to say, it's like, stop reviewing these people that review them like this was going to be an Oscar contention, and you're like, I am fucking dying inside at the quality of this. That's not
motherfuckers giving this shit an academic review and shit. I'm like, time out. Like this, you're putting way too. And I feel like these are people who just really don't like LeBron. Not talking about you, but like,
yes,
immediately they're like the moment his name is mentioned, there's like a knee jerk reaction with a lot of motherfuckers. And it's because you're a Michael Jordan fan, you were a Kobe fan, and there was always this tier. Like, oh, he's never as good as Kobe. Oh, he's never as good as Mike. It's like, okay, all right, I get it. All right, you're a fucking asshole.
But
we understand.
Even in that, I hate that anyway, but like what you're saying, I also think applies to any sort of movie or art anyway now, is because of the internet and because of trolls, and even just because of like everyone having an opinion on something. The best way to get attention is by giving a negative opinion. So, and I'm guilty of this. I know you've done it. We both admitted to it. Our instinct is to go hard against something. I don't like things that everyone likes. I'm always the last person on board for like a show that's widely accepted. Unless one of my friends, tells me to watch it. So I understand the mentality, but I think this movie has both of those things going against it. It has the people who just want to hate everything LeBron James does, even though the guy is, you can argue what position he is numerically. He's one of the greatest athletes ever. He's one of the greatest basketball players ever. And he's a fucking nice guy. Like, I don't, you know, beyond that, I'm not sure what he's supposed to do. And, you know, maybe he's made some missteps, but he doesn't deserve all the hatred. And on top of that, everyone just wants to hate shit. So, you know, the reviews are going to be bad. I don't think it's necessarily bad. My bad taste that was left in my mouth is just, again, this is another thing that's come and gone where, you know, something I loved gets brought back. You get excited because you want, they hit that nerve, you know, they hit that nostalgia nerve where you're like, oh, Space Jam, hell yeah. But then it's like eating a delicious, something that looks delicious, but then has no taste. There's just no substance to it. So I'm just getting sick of that. So whenever like people bring up the opportunity to bring back like a Frasier, which I love, or even they've talked about bringing back the sitcom Martin and, you know, making it current, I almost hesitate for that to happen because I just don't want to go through the disappointment because it's not going to be as good and it's not going to be what you remembered. So,
well, like what I was saying before about corporations killing creativity, man, like Disney, their whole history has been existing solely off of the fact that they're great. They're good at getting already proven stories. Like those classic movies that we saw growing up, the Cinderella, the Snow Whites and shit. They didn't have writers in those studios. Like that was shit that was already written. Like it's already proven. It's their classic stories. And like with the acquisition of all these other entities like Marvel and all of these other things, it's just going to be more of buying things that like we already know is going to sell. Like we don't want to take as many gambles, and not just Disney, but these other parent companies, the Viacoms, the Paramount, and all of that shit. Like we're just going to buy something that we know sold back in like 1970 or 1980 and just like modernize it and just cast Ben Stiller and Kevin Hart.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what was disappointing to me when I came to LA as somebody who did want to write movies and did want to create, you know, potentially shows that people could watch on TV or whatever. You get out here and the reality is, like, let's say I write a movie script or whatever, and it's good. You know, I've been told some of the scripts I've wrote are good. So that's great. You've done one job. But then when you take that to whoever you maybe potentially could plug you into money, which that in and of itself is an arduous process, you know, then they're going to ask you questions that aren't about the quality of the movie. It's about how can I ensure the amount of money we're going to get? So you have this script. Is there a star that we can attach to it to make sure that whenever it comes out, people are going to go see? Like if Will Smith's in a movie, that movie's going to make money probably, you know, no matter what, because he has an installed fan base. So like those kind of metrics are what go into selling and making shit. And when I got out here, that was plainly obvious. And this is not me being a fucking like starving artist or somebody that's bitter. I just never was able to seal the deal. And it is a really hard process. It's something people do it for their lifetime and maybe never succeed at. But that goes into what we're talking about too, about the lack of creativity, because if you could be the most creative person in the world, but if you don't have any connections to get a celebrity in it or to have somebody who has money just give you money, then you're probably out of luck, you know? So that's unfortunate.
C'est la vie, man.
But one other thing, Steve, I'm going to sidetrack Sally here because I'm going to might have to take your 90s card away. And I don't want to have to put our business on this podcast. But guys, listeners, I learned something about Steve last night that shocked me. Steve has never seen the original Space Jam.
What kind of shit is that?
Steve hasn't seen it. And I said, wow. And when I told my wife, the silent producer of this podcast, that Steve hadn't seen it, she was dumbfounded. So my only question to you, Steve, is who the fuck do you think you are?
Fool this man!
Oh, hell nah. Hell nah. Well, shit, I'm a line y'all. I'm gonna line both y'all up in this verses. I got the goods. Talking about I don't know no 90s. Yeah, I didn't see Space Jam. I'm sorry.
What was it? You like
It
MJ, you
just-
like basketball. I just don't get it.
I fucks with MJ. I fucks with Bugs Bunny. I fucks with Bill Murray's. I fucks with Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing's, Muggsy Bogues, all of them. But it's just never crossed my plate, man. And like I had HBO Max. I could have been synced it. I just ain't. This ain't, man. Like, dude, I just saw Blues Brothers for the first time last month, and it like. Dan Aykroyd, whatever, never. But like, I like John Belushi. I like, some other like James Brown and all those other people in it, man. But it just, I never got to it. But I'm gonna try to make it happen this week. I want to watch both of them back to back because I don't have a bias. I never seen the first one in full. I kind of know how it goes, but I think it's good for me to not have that bias going into watching both of them.
I'd be interested. That is interesting. I can't wait to hear what you think about both of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another thing that's weird because I think you and I are both like movie aficionados, and it is weird because I'm the same way about Blues Brothers, and I'll say this: Animal House. Never seen them either of those in full completion. Just never have. And I love comedies. I love both. A lot of the people involved in that. I love SNL and. Those are like time and place because that's why I've never seen Blues Brothers because when I tried to watch it, it was very much like, I'm not feeling this. I like everybody. I'm just not feeling it.
What's the Will Ferrell movie with
Old School? Anchorman?
Old School. Okay, so you have seen Old School.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like you didn't see Animal House because that wasn't your time. And I like that. Those are like, it's one of those movies, man. It like, what's this? Old School. Yeah. Old School is the Animal House in a way of our college days, I guess you could say.
It is. That's for sure. That's a good, I'm sure there's other ones, but they have definitely for our age range. And like when we were in college and when that came out, that was very much, I mean, fuck that guy in BG Blue. I mean, as soon as this movie came out, I don't know if that was that dude's name, but that was that dude's name after the movie came out. So
that was his moment in the sun. That was like his saving grace. Like I'm sure some of those like young freshman girls were even touching the man.
Oh
from that time.
God, ladies, don't do that. If you see a guy like, oh God, but yeah, it's those older movies like that. I love to go back and watch them, like movies like Caddyshack and shit like that. And it is weird, the further we get away and removed from them, they do get a bit, some of them get dated, but then there's movies like, maybe a Tommy Boy, something like that, where it's old, but it's never going to die because it's that good. So.
And Tommy Boy might be the Blues Brothers of our generation.
It's got a lot of this. It's got a lot of like the same vibe, there's two guys, they're in a car, they're doing crazy shit. A lot of comedy and physical comedy. Obviously, Farley was always compared to Belushi in a lot of ways.
And they're both Lorne Michaels.
So exactly. So very man, that's we could talk about that all fucking day, honestly.
He's a lawyer who's won.
Many roads to justice, young man.
He's a lawyer who's lost.
You blew the whole thing!
But he's a lawyer who's never given up.
We can still deal.
Now, Jack Shannon, the lawyer the New York Times called the first hero for the 90s, returns.
Jack's back.
Shannon's Deal returns on NBC Saturday.
But Matt, we have a show to do. Talking about July 22nd.
There's a lot of shit. I mean, honestly, Steve, I was excited when I went through the list here. I love true crime shit. So we got a few things in here that really are really moving the needle in that regard. Cannibalism, drug cartels. I mean, Jesus Christ, that we hit basically every murder podcast topic in one day on this. So I'm excited.
In 1991, on July 22nd, Jeffrey Dahmer confesses to killing 17 men in 1978. Man, look at him next to his menu. I mean, his victims.
I mean, this guy, It's weird when you look at somebody after the fact and know they're a monster. But this guy, if you didn't know he was a killer, he could be some dude that works in in the back at Target. He just looks like one of those dudes, that just has one of those jobs where they're just like filling shelves or something. You never pay attention to him, but this motherfucker had a house full of ass and meat and heads and shit. And when I was going through just a recap of just his story, obviously he got arrested on July 22nd in 91 in, I believe it was Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So what led to his arrest is so insane. So initially, police officers spotted what I believe was a man named Tracy Edwards running down the street in handcuffs. And they stopped him, and it turned out he was running away from Dahmer. So Edwards told the police that Dahmer had held him in his apartment and threatened to kill him. And although the cops basically thought this guy was full of shit when they first heard the story, they took Edwards back to Dahmer's apartment, and Dahmer actually explained to the cops that the whole matter, this is a misunderstanding, guys. This guy's crazy. We're just having it got too weird, but there's nothing to see here. So the cops, almost left. They almost just said, "Oh, okay, you guys are some freaks. We'll see you later. Keep us out of it." But then they spotted some Polaroids in his apartment. So this guy just had Polaroids in his apartment of dismembered bodies. And of course, like the cops came, he didn't put those away. So the only reason they didn't leave this guy to die is that some guy just happened to eagle eye some Polaroids Dahmer had of some dismembered fucking bodies he had. So that in and of itself is wild. But then I'm thinking to myself, this guy's in the middle of Milwaukee. He's in the city. He's in an apartment building. How the fuck? Like, didn't anyone else notice this? And people did notice it, Steve. Neighbors told the detectives that they had noticed awful smells coming from this guy's apartment. And you know what Jeff said to these people in his sick, devious way? It's just expired meat, you guys. The meat went bad. And
he's not lying.
Yeah, exactly. These people were like, "Oh, the bologna went bad." No, some guy's ass meat went bad in the fridge. So people were suspecting him. And 2 months previous to him getting arrested, this is where I was like, this proves to you that some cops are just stupid as fuck. All respect to police. I know your job's hard, but police were called to Dahmer's apartment 2 months earlier about a naked and bleeding 14-year-old boy that was being chased down an alley near Dahmer's apartment. And the officers actually took the kid back to Dahmer, okay? They got the kid, they took him back to Dahmer, and the kid was like drugged, I guess, and they took him back. And Dahmer immediately killed this fucking kid and was added to the list of meat puppets that he had on that thing you showed behind you. So the ineptitude of the Milwaukee, Wisconsin Police Department actually, like, they literally they postmated a kid to Dahmer to eat.
This was years before Doordash.
I mean, this motherfucker should be getting some fucking money off of that because he came up with it, with the cops' help. But I was just sitting there like,
your meal ran away, sir.
You shoot somebody in the heat of passion. These people get away with crazy shit sometimes. But this motherfucker was killing, eating. He had heads in his apartment. He had human skulls in his apartment. He had a fridge full of fucking human meat. Like Dee and Charlie and fucking It's Always Sunny. I mean, this motherfucker was out here just eating ass, dick, whatever he could get his hands on until he got caught. And I mean, I don't remember all of this coming out. I was never really into this kind of shit until I was much older. But what a fucking crazy ass story.
Dude, I just remember hearing about the guy eating people. And like you said, man, I wasn't too well versed into it because we were fucking kids. But I just remember being like, damn, how do you do that? You eat people? What the fuck?
I feel like this came out. Remember that movie Alive?
I don't.
It was a movie about like a true story or based on a true story movie about, I think they were Argentinian soccer players and their plane crashed on the mountain and they actually were forced to eat some of the dead to survive. This actually happened.
Oh my God.
And they made a movie about it. It was like a 90s movie about this exact thing where the plane crashed and people there's some famous people in it, but that movie came out and I was always like, holy shit. There was like that. There was the Donner Party that we always heard about, which was like people in wagons that got caught someplace in a blizzard and they had to eat people to survive. But that's all the reference I had. So then you hear about this guy and he's basically doing a fucking Korean barbecue in his house of people's ass meat. And I think I just was like you. I was a little kid like, holy fuck, this motherfucker was eating shit. But then he went to jail. And I think the more public thing that came out that I remember was that he got killed in jail. And he got killed by, I think, a cellmate or just somebody who didn't like him. And I think he got a broom shoved up his ass was the rumor I remember. So, hey, fuck you, Jeff. I mean, you deserve it. You got what you know, hopefully that guy took a bite out of you somehow just to really, cement in that, whatever you want to call it. But what a fucking lunatic. And again, it's scary to me that when you look at a guy like that, this guy was doing that and he just looks like, some guy that works at a fucking Shell station or some shit,
Well, knowing what we know now, I feel like society has smartened us up on things to look for. And just look at those glasses. Those glasses say I touch people when they don't ask for it, and I do things with kids. That's what those fucking there's a certain style of glasses, and both of us wear spectacles. But when you're wearing shit like this,
you don't give a fuck. Yeah, he had to get some magnification so he could see exactly where to make the cuts on the meat. So that's what I see. And again, he's either molesting somebody or killing somebody and eating them. So either way, people should have known. But I think his family also sort of were, I don't know if they were supportive of him, but they sort of like were, people would approach them and they were very dismissive of maybe they still love their son or whatever, which I mean, I guess every parent loves their kid, but I mean, damn.
There's a line.
Yeah. You broke this one. I don't know what the fuck you did, but I mean, Jesus fucking Christ.
Hey, to our people out there, be careful when you tell someone they eat a dick because you never know. In 1992, on July 22nd, Dear John airs its last episode. And dude, I was so pissed, man. I could bite a car that day. Why did y'all have to end Dear John? Judd Hirsch ain't never hurt nobody. How y'all gonna do that? Judd Hirsch, man, he was, just mind his business, picking up motherfuckers in the taxi with what's the
he was helping Jeff Goldblum defeat fucking aliens in Independence Day. So this guy's been doing things, and apparently back then, the premise of the show is his wife just leaves him, and the show is just about that. And the only thing I have to say about this show that we've said before is that the theme song is Dear John, Dear John. I mean, I remembered, when we talked about it, it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders because that song got stuck in my child mind to the point where I still remember it like 2 months ago or whenever we talked about it. So salute to that. Whoever wrote the song, you killed it.
You fucking G, whoever you are, man, because that song resonates with me more than the actual fucking show. Yeah. It reminded me of the Ravishing Rick Rude song.
It did have a little of that sexy sax, it had some of that. I like that.
All right. Now, in 1992, Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar escapes prison. And if that shit ain't G, he is the G of all G's.
Motherfucker. I mean, but when we say he escaped prison, Steve, this dude for a year was such a motherfucking kingpin that he built his own prison.
He's like, oh yeah, y'all gonna lock me up? All right, take me to my spot. I got some hoes lined up.
Hold on.
I got
the pool's gonna be done next week in the soccer field. So as soon as that's done and we get all the equipment out, I'm good. I'll go in. So and this was on Narcos. I don't know what season, but they kind of covered this. And this motherfucker was so rich, making so much money. I don't want to I hate talking about drug lords in such a positive light, because the reality is this guy was killing people. He was a piece of shit. But in terms of making some fucking money, this guy had so much money that he had to bury it underground, and he was losing more money to rats eating the piles of money that he had than competition. That was his biggest problem. Yeah. He had so much money, rats were eating some of it. I mean, god damn, we should all be so fucking lucky.
Like, how gangster is it to have your own prison? Like, y'all gonna lock me up? Shit, I got a dice game waiting at 6 o'clock. Hurry up.
Yeah, I mean, cool. Can I get a ride there? Because I got a TV. I got to get in there too, just to be sure everything's in. But cable's in. We're good. I'll go in and lock myself up. But basically, he did that for a year, and at the end of the year, somebody in Colombian government was like, "We got to transfer you. You're too dangerous. You got to go to a different prison now." And in doing that, they brought him to a different location. He sort of, I don't know the whole story of what happened when he left his built-in prison that he created, but he got taken to another prison. He basically manufactured a prison riot at this prison. He took 2 high-ranking government officials and a prison warden hostage in the midst of all this, and basically just left. And then they released the hostages. But that's, this dude was so rich and so powerful. There was no way he's like, the El Chapo thing that happened recently. People are aware of that. He was digging tunnels. He had all this support. This dude you couldn't contain him. He blew up planes. He disrupted governments. He disrupted our government and worked, and some people believe worked for our government to sell and distribute drugs. So it's one of those cases where, you get a job and you hope to someday be at the top of that job. This dude became the greatest drug lord, maybe ever of all time. Yeah. And I say what you will, but as somebody who grew up watching Scarface and listening to rap and, hearing and sort of idolizing the concept of people coming from nothing and making something out of it, there's a lot to hate about this guy, but there's some bits of it that are just really inspiring, I guess. So I don't know.
No, dude. You know what though, man? It goes back to what we were talking about earlier at the beginning of this episode. Motherfuckers got to do what they got to do, man. And sometimes you can't be mad. Like, I get it. Like, yeah, he killed people, man. And a lot of people that didn't ask for it. He had rival gangs and shit. And that's what you sign up. When you do gang shit might happen to you. But this man came from nothing, man. And it's like, dude, we didn't come from nothing. But like, damn, like we out here working, trying to make shit work. And the system is just like, nope. Yeah. So because of that shit, when guys like this happen, a part of you be like, man, you know what? He said, fuck the system. He beating the system. Man, you know what, bro? I can't fully support it, but I get it.
I think you and I are the same way, that we appreciate like an outlaw of some kind. I like a guy named Hunter S. Thompson that was a journalist, but he wasn't a criminal by this level, but he was somebody who said, fuck all the rules. I'm going to live the way I want to live. And whether or not you like it, respect it, or care, this is just who I am. And he never gave in to peer pressure, never, or dulled his edge, I guess. And like, this guy is like that times a million, whereas Hunter S. Thompson just sort of was like a drug culture guy. This guy was a drug culture guy, but he was also a guy who said, I'm doing me. And if you get in the way, you can either step back or die. And that's my own, that's like, I forget, what was it called? Plomo or Plata or some shit like that. I
have no idea what you mean.
I forget what it is. It's either like you can either take silver or get lead. You either get paid or you die. It was some shit like that he would tell people when he was trying to like incorporate them or whatever. And again, I'm like you. I think anybody who's lived a life of, we've been privileged in some ways, but I've been a broke adult my whole life with some help every once in a while. And as somebody like that who's familiar with struggle, hearing about people who get out of that, whatever way they do, I mean, that's why there's movies about gangsters. That's why Scarface is a popular movie. It just is what it is.
Rap videos.
Yeah.
And, like that's why a big reason why hip hop artists like hold guys like this in reverence, because it resonates with them, man. Why does Nas name himself Nas Escobar?
Yeah. And it's like conflicting as like I'm a good guy. I'm a nice guy. I've never hurt somebody. If I do, I feel bad about it. So I could never be Pablo Escobar. I could never be Scarface. I could never be fucking Hunter S. Thompson, even though I'd love to be. But I respect it. And those are the people who I ultimately always I don't take lessons from them and like their bad behaviors, but being a good guy or being an outlaw and being sort of confident in yourself is what I take away from these people. Like, they may have not had confidence when they were young and they had to figure it out, but in doing so, they figured it out to the fullest extent.
People who got slapped around a lot, man, because where Tony was from Cuba, right? Where, impoverished area, Hunter S. Thompson, he's from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm sure it's Poe Dunk, and he was from like the 30s, 40s. So he probably didn't come from money. And this guy, Columbia, man, impoverished neighborhood. And he probably seen some rough shit. And it was like kill or be killed mentality.
And he got, to his credit, he knew how to do that. And he's the guy who sort of inspired the drug kingpins now. He set it up to give them a structure of how to do it. And say what you will, man. The guy, there's been many things made about him, many songs, many movies, many shows. And it's because he's the story's that fucking good. Whether you like it or not, it's a crazy fucking story and it's true. So
yeah, man. Salute to him. I don't care. What I'm saying? Don't argue with me, argue with your mama. Like, I get it. And also on that same day when he escaped prison, Selena Gomez, American singer and actress, is born. She never got me hard. Now in 1994, Lassie premiered in theaters, and what a bad bitch. If you a bad bitch, raise your hands. Yeah, bad bitch, man. You know what I'm saying? She was around from the black and white days and even turned it up a notch. She stuck around for the 90s. You want to be in pictures, bitch? Okay.
I watched the black and white shit. I never saw this movie, but I'm sure I know what it is. So
yeah, I never watched the movie, but I fucked with the show heavy. It's just like, how is Timmy knowing how to speak dog? So how's Wall Street doing, Lassie? Arf, arf, arf. Oh, so I should put more stock in Pepsi? Okay.
The NASDAQ's down 3.5 points. Oh my God. Sell.
On that same day when Lassie was getting its bark on, North, starring Elijah Wood, premiered in theaters. And I think I only seen it one time. I just remember there were a lot of cameos.
Yeah, that's the thing. This kid, I forget, he's trying to find I think he's trying to find parents is like the premise of the movie. Like he's trying to find the top-notch parents because he's the best kid. I forget exactly, but this is like young Elijah Wood. I feel like even now Elijah Wood still has this same vibe of all-American, like wholesome kid guy. He went from this, I think right after this, he made that movie, The Good Son, with Macaulay Culkin, where Culkin went like full evil. Maybe it was the other way around.
Either way, they were like back to back.
Yeah. But this movie, again, it never moved the needle for me. It's one of those 90s movies where, it was always on the video store shelves. I remember seeing it a lot. And I do remember, I think Bruce Willis is in this movie. I think there's a lot of, I forget, but there's a lot of cameos. And hey, shout out to Elijah Wood, because you want to talk about successful child actors.
I was just going to say, Dude, you immediately get my respect as a child actor if you made it out as an adult and you never got cracked out. He's one of them. Tobey Maguire's one. Of course, Fred Savage is one. You can throw Jaleel White in there. I mean, people who have been able to grow up within that industry and just not get crazed the fuck out. And apparently that's a hard thing to do. I guess just ask Corey Feldman.
Yeah, I mean that's like the opposite end of the spectrum. And with Elijah Wood, I mean he had success as a kid. He never really disappeared. He just kept kind of working steadily, and then he got Lord of the Rings, and it was like after that,
yeah,
it's over. You know, he's still doing shit, and he's done some shit as an adult where he did a show I really liked on FX.
Wilford.
Yeah, exactly. That show, it was pretty good. And I'm a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, so I love that shit. So shout out to Elijah Wood, man. One of the real ones.
He won in life already, man. And in 1994, former NFL running back, broadcaster, and actor, our guy, O.J. Simpson, pleads 100% not guilty. Okay, O.J.
Whatever you say, Juice.
Yeah, and this was Darden and Marjorie Clark's reaction to that.
This
man,
motherfucker. Oh man, dude. We've just talked about it ad nauseum, but just thinking about the stress of what OJ was going through, but like looking at Darden in this and what ultimately happened, like just I wonder if you could just get him in a room and just talk to him and like, what do you think about all this? Like, what are your real deal, 100% honest thoughts about this? Because, you know, they might say, give you a little bit. I know Marsha Clark sort of gained a little bit of fame after that show came out and stuff. But I would these are the types of people where if I was given the opportunity to be in a room where it's like, this is off the record, like, please just tell me, like, give me just what you fucking think. What do you think happened and what was your experience through this? I just wish you could get an honest thing because they always have to be like lawyery about it, even to this day. And Darden comes across to me as somebody who, if you could get an opportunity like that, would probably fucking put you into some real shit. He'd tell you the real shit.
Well, you know, he's from the hood, actually. I want to say he's from Compton or something like that. I watched the retelling of this story on FX, and they showed him kind of like living in the neighborhood, you know, in impoverished Black community. So it must have been an awkward thing to be living there, being from there, but being looked at and characterized as like an Uncle Tom dude. Like, you know, I can't relate to the Black man's plight. And I feel like that's how he was characterized at this time because he's going up against a prominent Black man. And it became symbolic as far as like the Black support because OJ never really fucked with us. Never really. And all of this was really kickback from the riots from 92, from the Rodney King shit. So it felt like, okay, Black folks rejoice because, okay, maybe there is some silver lining. Maybe we can seek justice. But that motherfucker did that shit anyways. In 1990, yeah, I mean, I ain't defending the man. Shit. You know, he don't even claim us anyway, so fuck him. In 1995, my guy, Ezekiel Elliott, the stud, former Buckeye NCAA champion, is born July 22nd. Freaky Zeke getting all the TDs.
And if the half shirt manufacturing community knew how much money that he was going to give to them, they would have rejoiced on this day. Because I'm not a Cowboy. We're not going to get into a football debate, Steve, because the Steelers are some hot trash this year. So I don't even want to put any emotion to it. But Zeke's a badass. He is a beast. And regardless of how much shirt he chooses to wear, he's a dominant fucking running back. So salute to Zeke. I don't hate the Cowboys. I'm a Steelers fan. I'm not a Cowboys hater. I know too many Cowboys fans, and you guys are going through as much misery as I am as a fan. So
Way
it's okay.
more.
We're good.
Way more. I love Zeke. He's probably going to end up being one of my top 10 favorite football players ever. But bro, stop dropping the ball.
Yeah,
Stop,
I mean,
stop.
he definitely needs to learn that lesson. You thought he would have figured that out by now, but he'll figure that out. I think all running backs, sort of, unless they're just studs, go through that. Because I definitely have had people on the Steelers where it's like all the pieces line up, but every game they're gonna fucking let the ball slip out of their hands a couple of times. It's just like, God damn, dude, are you serious? You got 300 yards and 3 fumbles. Like, we can't have this.
And I want to say he led the league in fumbles this past season, man. But I barely watch these days. In July 22nd, 1996, The Daily Show premiered on Comedy Central. And no, it's not Trevor Noah. No, it's not Jon Stewart. It is none other than Craig Kilborn
The kill
from SportsCenter.
I love Craig Kilborn. Craig Kilborn, one of the original smarmy, just like, I don't know what to characterize this guy as. He's just always had that like shit-eating grin type attitude, I guess.
Very kind of dry, sarcastic, and he was a part of a new regime in overall sportscasting and commentating. Long ago, were the days of John Madden. Well, John Madden was still current. Well, who's the guy that was around Muhammad Ali all the time? Howard Cosell.
Yeah.
And I like Howard Cosell, but it was a new time. It was the 90s, man. So in comes Craig Kilborn, Dan Patrick, Stuart Scott, man, the legend, RIP, man. Like, they brought something more modern to the game. They brought 90s to sports, man, and Craig Kilborn was a part of that. There's some other guys I left out, but those were the main 3 for me: Dan Patrick, Stuart Scott, and Craig Kilborn, man. It was kind of like a new generation kind of deal.
Yeah, I think they brought comedy and more of an opinion to sportscasting. And definitely, ESPN, when we were in the 90s, it's hard to sort of think about, but even the concept of a show like SportsCenter was still fairly new. So, they were still kind of figuring it out. And I think the era we're talking about with like Kilborn and Dan Patrick, that's when they figured it out.
That's when they figured it out, man. And they started doing those promos like "This is ESPN" and that.
Scott Van Pelt is also, I don't know if he's technically with this group, but he's another one that's like that I respect.
He was kind of like later added on. I think Kilborn might have been gone when Scott came, but I know this is about Daily Show, but I want to say to Stuart Scott, man, he's a legend in the game, and he brought hip hop to sports commentating. Now you hear like, a middle-aged white guy saying like, "Whoop, there it is," or something. Like before this was a thing, like he brought that. He was the pioneer of all of that, like dropping hip hop references into like his stats and replays and shit, man. But the Daily Show, he was the guy that started all this gangster shit, man, before Jon Stewart, before Trevor Noah. And they would pair this up, and I think they still do, with South Park. That was a part of their Wednesday block. And in 1997, Greg Maddux of the Atlanta Braves throws a complete game with just 76 pitches. And he was a bad motherfucker, man. You could say the Yankees were the team of the late 90s, but the Braves were the team of the rest of the decade. Yeah. Because they only won 1 World Series out of that whole run, but they went to the World Series, I want to say, about 4 or 5 times. And he was a part of the 3-headed monster. It was Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz.
John Smoltz, that's the guy I was like, there was another guy that just looked like he worked in a fucking diesel mechanics, shit or some shit, I hated the Braves in the 90s because this is when
you were supposed to.
Exactly. And this is when I was actually paying attention to baseball, and I was a Pirates fan. So inevitably they would do great. They had a not like an all-star team basically, but inevitably they would get to the NL championship and face the Braves and get beaten. So that's always happened. Like you said, maybe the Braves didn't win championships, but they would get to them. They were like the Bills almost. They would just get there and just stall out, and they eventually won one. So
Yeah, and the one they won was against my tribe, fucking assholes. Let me get it off of this fucking Maddox, you fucking
Fuck you, Greg.
yeah, you son of a bitch. And in 1998, Ellen airs its last episode on ABC. And the network doesn't like you when they drag your shit all the way into the heart of the summer. Like, hey, Ellen, you want to do some gay shit? Okay, how about we end your shit in July when no one's watching TV? You're down with LGB, not ABC. And, even Chaz Bono, Sonny and Cher's kid that did the little switcheroo. They was the head of the GLAAD. It was the president of GLAAD, and even Chaz commented like, man, after that episode where she came out, it was just getting too focused and too LGBTQ themed. Every episode was focusing on that, and that's coming from somebody that was the head of GLAAD.
Yeah, and I think what happened there was she got so much of a pop from that episode and so much like everything, publicity. The show, I'm sure, got great ratings. So of course the TV channel and the writers are going to be forced to go, we know what works now. Our ratings tripled because of what I was talking about, her being gay. So gay it up, guys. Let's do this. So that's probably what happened. But dude, the only thing I remember about this, and maybe I'm even misremembering this, but wasn't this Jeremy Piven, one of his show? Wasn't
he was one of her friends?
Yeah.
Because what happened, Jeremy Piven was on the first season of the Larry Sanders Show, and he took that and went on to Ellen. And I think he was there throughout the whole duration, and he started getting bigger slots, man.
Jeremy, if you're listening, PCU is one of the greatest movies about college ever. So
shout out to Jeremy Piven, dude. He's been at it. He's been
Comedians
active.
are hating on him heavily right now, and I get it. He's a celebrity who's trying to just jump into stand-up comedy and do that. So he's getting a heavy amount of hatred from stand-ups. But I've always loved Piven. So again, I'm going to give him flowers. PCU, if you have not seen this movie, hilarious. It's a great 90s movie about college.
Now, in 1999, Woodstock 99, the music festival begins in Griffith Park, Rome, New York, from July 22nd till July 25th, and it's attended. They say 200,000, but I believe it was more than that.
I mean, you see the videos of this, and I'll cut to some of the performances. I mean, I know I referenced maybe DMX at one point. We talked about Limp Bizkit and how they basically were blamed for a lot of the shittiness that happened at the end of this festival and like fires that were started, basically like a riot that erupted in the crowd. As somebody who, Steve, I'm going to admit something right now. I'm not a huge concert guy. Big spaces make me nervous. Being in a big group of people, I get it. Sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes I just don't enjoy it. The idea of going to this is a nightmare to me, but this also represents one of those moments in time where it's almost worth it because you would have been able to see this shit firsthand.
It had everybody that I listened to at the time. Most of the people I listened to at the time. None of the motherfuckers were on this day, though. On July 22nd, it was a lot of who the fuck are you? Listen to this: Frostbit Blue, KJ James, Little Big Jam, Gridley Page, Jalobia, Red Aaron, Rattle Basket, In Bloom, Flip. I do remember Third Base from back in the day, Vertical Horizon, Strange Folk, G Love and the Special Sauce. And they've been around and they've been doing things. I see their name, but I don't know anyone who listens to G Love and the Special Sauce.
I think it's like a jam band thing. I think they're like, isn't that like an OAR type shit?
I can see that.
Clearly, I'm not. You and I are not in the audience. I've heard that too. Great name, guys, but I'm not. G Love and the Special Sauce. I am not a fan. Sorry.
But George Clinton and the P-Funk All-Stars did perform. And this was on a Thursday, on July 22nd, 99. This was on a Thursday, which I didn't know. I thought the festivities kicked off on Friday and went to Sunday, but they actually did a pre-show on Thursday. But the rest of the people on this list, man, oh my God,
Ugh.
The Roots, Insane Clown Posse, James Brown, DMX, The Offspring, Korn, Bush, Limp Bizkit, Rage Against the Machine, Dave Matthews Band, Counting Crows, Metallica, Wyclef Jean, Kid Rock,
Jesus,
Fatboy Slim, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Willie Nelson, Godsmack, Collective Soul, Seven Dust.
Dude, I mean,
Creed.
literally every
Creed.
CD in my book that you just read the people that were in my CD book. It was basically all that. But then it turned to a big heaping pile of shit, Steve.
It did on Saturday, and this is when Limp Bizkit, when they got their set in, and man, when he played Break Stuff, that is when shit went haywire because it's 100 degrees. They've already been sitting out there paying $10 for a bottle of water. So they're a little hot and bothered, a little ornery. You can't really shit. Some of them are probably congested because the porta potties have already been destroyed just from being.
Ooh, can you imagine 200,000 people? I'm sure they had a bunch of porta potties. Can you imagine day 2 going in there and just like, guess I'm gonna shit myself, guys, or go over here and shit in the ground someplace. Because also I remember like this is the one where people were like in mud and shit that. Like it rained, so people were in mud. Then they started fires. They were charging all this money for water. Chicks were getting fingered against their will. I mean, shit was going down, Steve. So I don't think whenever it's looked back on is like when you look at the list, like the artist, awesome. When you look at what actually happened, maybe not as awesome.
Well, Fred Durst, this is what he said when he was on stage. Don't let anybody get hurt, but I don't think you should mellow out. That's what Alanis Morissette had you motherfuckers do. If someone falls, pick them up. Durst said during a performance of the band's hit song Nookie, we already lit all the negative energy out. It's time to reach down and bring that positive energy to this motherfucker. It's time to let yourself go right now because there are no motherfucking rules out there. And this is in contrast. Partway through Break Stuff, Durst encouraged the crowd to become angry again.
Hey guys, chill out. Guys. Like,
psych, act a fool.
I mean, are you surprised that Limp Bizkit is the band that got this reaction?
I mean, they were scorching hot. This is 99. I don't even Significant Other just came out. They were at the top, man. And this is a college crowd. These are all kids, man, with that concert going energy. So these are some of the top acts of that time. So you got to turn up. I get that. So the fact that the band is right there in front of you, that just makes you I got to crawl up on this fucking set and just fucking dare life.
I guess. Again, I'd be in the back somewhere smoking a joint, hopefully away from the violence. I would not be in the middle of this crowd. But, I mean, I don't know what else to say other than the people that walked away from this. I wonder what the stories you would hear. How many drugs were involved? Like, were there just people tripping balls? Because to me, that's what the utility of a music festival is. It's to go see bands that you like and to do as much drugs as you fucking possibly can. That's what I thought it was all about, not all this violence and shit. So I'm sure there was pockets of that, but really the real overarching story of this was the devastation left in the aftermath of this. And also, like, I think once everybody left, there was a huge problem because it was just like trashed. Like they basically just destroyed wherever they were at. Like the whole area was just full of trash, mattresses, shit everywhere, loose bras and panties that got thrown at Fred Durst at any point. And I don't know. As somebody who doesn't like concerts, when I see what is behind you, a white woman that appears to have dreads or some sort of braids with her
looking
tits
very
out,
90s,
with her gross tits out. I just don't want to be part of it. But man, if you were a part of it, you're part of history in this case, because goddamn, some shit went down.
And I remember this actually being available on pay-per-view. Before there was a scandemic, this was actually a virtual concert that you could order, and you could see all these bands performing in live, in real time. And I also remember on Sunday, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they were one of the closing acts, and there was a huge fire that kicked off because there were vendors that were selling candles specifically for them to hold the candles in a vigil-like setting while Red Hot Chili Peppers plays Under the Bridge, one of their famous ballads. But instead of that, the candles were used to create bonfires. And then on top of the candles that created bonfires, some of the empty bottles were used to amplify the fires. So while the Chili Peppers were playing, one of the audio towers had caught fire, and the fire department was called in to extinguish it. And Anthony Kiedis, while performing, he remarked how amazing the fires looked from the stage, comparing them to Apocalypse Now. And he was asked about this. The band played Fire by Jimi Hendrix while this is going on. So they asked him, like, why did you goad these kids into like being even more crazy? And he was like, well, Jimi Hendrix's sister was actually with us, and she requested that we play Fire in commemoration to her brother. And it just so happened that like there was an actual fire going on.
What are you going to say at that point? And also, so one thing that has always been, and you've been on stage, you're a performer, you're in a band. I've seen videos of this. Like there's a video of DMX, doing his thing on stage, and the crowd looks like a wave. It doesn't even look like people jumping. It literally, looks like a moving wave and wall of people in this crowd. And to be a performer, just receiving all that energy and seeing that must be an insane experience and very psychedelic. Like Anthony Kiedis, I thought you were going to say motherfucker was on like acid going like, this shit's fucking crazy, that would have been a great story, but like this,
they probably were.
Yeah, dude, I can't even imagine. As somebody that loves psychedelics, that would be just one of the greatest experiences of all time. And this isn't about this, but just like as an example of what I'm talking about, in crowds and being a performer, I remember Metallica talking about doing a concert, I think in Russia, where there was hundreds of thousands of people at it. And to add to the psychedelic nature of it, there were Russian helicopters circling because there were so many people. So it's like to be a performer in a position like this, I can't even imagine. Like you're getting paid money, but then you get to just like how many people see that in the world? See 200,000 people move into some shit that you're singing. You're like creating the rhythm for these people to move to. It's gotta be fun. No wonder these motherfuckers love drugs, because what better way to enjoy some shit like that?
You gotta be on something, man. And I want to say something cool. Like before we did this today, I was watching some of the sets from the various artists, man. And I watched Insane Clown Posse's whole set, and it just, by the end of this year, Matt, I might be a fucking juggalo, because I've said this before on this show. I was never crazy about their music, but the more I watch them and I see them in interviews and stuff, like not only are they entertaining, not only are they do they have business savvy, but they put on a good fucking show, man. And like the cool thing about this set, Violent J said, hey man, we got paid to do this show, blah, blah, blah. So what we want to do is give some of y'all's money back. So they had a bunch of balls, like some plastic balls, and they was like, man, attached to each of these balls is $100 bill. And like one by one, they were like kicking the ball. You know what I'm saying? And then like at the end, I think he said like on this one, there's $500, and he kicked the ball. You know what I'm saying? So it's just dude. Little shit like that was cool. On top of pouring Fago on bitches that are half naked, that was pretty cool too. Shout out to my buddy Flux, my bassist and Priest of Hiroshima, man. Me and him watched some shows on YouTube of ICP, and they put on a whole experience. Fuck a show, it's a whole experience. And like the Fago deal, like that shit is real. Like they have plastic and shit set up because that's what they do. That's like the part of their whole deal, man. Where they got Fago just lined up, just shaking it, and they were doing it in this Woodstock set, man, just pouring it on motherfuckers, man. And I wouldn't want to be a part of that.
They're so successful. People always talk shit about what they're saying, and I mean it's fucking crazy, but they're entertainers. They got to do whatever. But like ever since I became aware of them, that's been what everyone says. They put on a hell of a show. I mean, they've been on Howard Stern. They've been in WWE. They have a fucking festival of their fans because of these insane shows and this like community they built. So, you know, I'm not a huge fan of them, but I respect the fuck out of anybody that can take that and make a shit ton of money off of it. So, I mean, hey, Violent Shaggy 2 Dope and Violent J. I mean, maybe I'll be a juggalo, Steve. We can just go and just be some middle-aged men at the gathering of the juggalos. You know, I'm sure they have like a podcast tent. Maybe we can be in a.
I would love to, man. You never know what you see at those things. Dude, they're on a short list of people who survived the Eminem beef, because when he beefs with you, your career is pretty much done. I don't feel like that beef has affected them at all, because they already have created this whole universe of following, to where it's like, okay, you say fuck me, I'll say fuck you back. Oh, you got a diss song about me? All right, people are still going to come to my festival.
Yeah, I feel like they disappeared for like a little bit, but they had such a like big base of fans that aren't going to give a fuck about what Eminem said, that just stuck with them, and they rode those people until they were able to do like the juggalo shit, like the gathering shit, where I think that's really when they super popped off. When it became more about the community than what the music was. It's more about just like people going to those things and being crazy, and you know, it's like all these fandoms. When you look at it from a distance, it looks crazy. It looks like something stupid, or you can judge it whatever way you want. But the people involved in it love it. They're rabid about it, and they're going to support them no matter what. So, I mean, they have obviously figured something out.
No doubt, man.
It's an all-new Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson with the Robert Cray Band and Yakov Smirnoff, followed by an all-new Late Night with Catherine O'Hara and Rudolph Nuria.
Now, are you ready to do this versus, dog? Are you ready?
I am fucking ready, man. I can't wait.
Man, all right. So
you're ready to lose, because, you know.
I think we'll let the people decide.
Well, Steve, I mean, we're just going to go. We're going in right now. We're going in hot. So for the uninitiated, this is new. Steve and I have been talking about this. We're trying to do more shit for you. We're trying to be creative. And something we both like is wrestling. We like the theme music, the entrances. I think everybody does. And, you know, we all have some notable favorites. So with the help of our beautiful silent producer, we were able to compile a list of 5 of our favorites. Neither of these are duplicated. We've both picked 5 of our favorites, and this isn't necessarily head to head for each selection, but by the end of this, I think we're going to know, one, who has better taste, me, but also who the fans think has better taste. So, Steve, to get the ball rolling, round 1, I'm gonna let you just bat this one, just hit it out of the park. Who's number 1 for you?
Well, man, I'm gonna start this off with the sharpshooter himself. He came from a wrestling family. He's a scrappler. He's a grappler. He's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. I'm talking about none other than Bret the Hitman Hart. Dun 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 Gotta get that. That's that little Wayne's World shit.
I mean, I can't hate on it. what it got
Kane.
the point across. There's no words. It's just you're getting ready. The glasses are on. The fucking greasy, weird hair is out. I love it. I'm with you.
Swag Daddy.
Swag Daddy.
He ain't got us.
Neidhart's in the background, like. So, all right, Steve. I mean,
don't even need lyrics. He don't say shit when he come out. His song don't say shit, and he don't say shit. He just out there with the stunner shades and a leather jacket. This is all I got to do. The fuck? I'm the shit.
How badly would you have busted if you were in the audience and he gave you those greased out glasses? What would you have done, Steve? Is it a full bust?
Oh man. Bro, can you adopt me? That's what I would say to him.
Brett, I'm in the Heart Foundation now.
Can you be my new dad? Sorry, Dad.
Well, Steve, all respect to the excellence of execution. Great pick. But like every good guy, there has to be a bad guy. And I'm glad you used this one. You picked Bret Hart, because who do I pick? For my number one, the Heartbreak Kid, Steve, Shawn Michaels. Now,
wait.
Okay.
Which one?
This is the Heartbreak Kid. So I'm talking Sexy Boy theme song, Steve. Sexy boy, I'm not your boy toy. So why do I pick this? I like you, I love Bret Hart, but at a certain point, I started liking the bad guys more than the good guys. They had more flair, they had more fucking pizzazz. And Shawn Michaels went from being a fucking boring, regular schmegular rocker with Marty Jannetty. And as soon as he super kicked that loser through a window, he became the Heartbreak Kid. And that's when I started paying attention. He had the whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it's a mullet. He had the blonde locks. He had the weird assless chaps with the fucking Heartbreak Kid pants. And he was
that's why you like him.
Dwayne Wayne glasses and all that shit. Just looking sexy. So as a youngster, I didn't really understand why I liked it, but this is why. I love shit talkers who back it up. And that's to me what Shawn Michaels ultimately is. He's funny. He's a shit talking motherfucker. But when it comes down to it, he's one of the best of all time. And he's a Heartbreak Kid. He was getting them bitches, Steve. So
he was getting some hoes.
So
I mean, Shawn was definitely getting them hoes.
He's a sexy boy.
I'll give you that.
Steve.
I always like the little the pyrotechnic that would do when he would be in the center. It would be like like every, there's a wrestler who might be a great wrestler but not a great showman. He might be good on a mic and suck in the ring. Shawn Michaels, he's 10 out of 10 at every fucking grade you want to give him. Whatever he's doing, it's top notch. Shout out to Shawn. Shout out to fucking Bret. No hatred, but in terms of round one, I'm saying fucking Sexy Boy theme song super kicks your fucking theme song out of the ring immediately. Canadians are cool, and Shawn's from Texas. Michael Hickenbottom.
Perfect. So I don't know. We're never going to agree on these, Steve. I mean, we got to just leave this to the listeners, to the crowd. Agree to disagree, but in round one, I just got to say much love to both of these people. They had great theme songs and they were awesome wrestlers. So flowers to both of these men. And they're still alive too. Another thing as a wrestler, it's very hard to do. So
take these flowers, Shawn. Take these flowers, Bret. Be good to each other.
All right, round two, Steve. I'm going to let you keep going. You break out round two. Where are we at?
Round two.
This is related to my wrestling bay. And this was a song that was shared as a tag team and as a solo artist. They're infamous for a video that has been in rotation, that has gone viral because of a certain flub about a balding blonde wrestler. I'm talking about none other than the Harlem Heat theme song. Can you dig it, sucker?
Yeah, dude, I'm with you, dude. Harlem Heat does not get enough credit. I gotta say that right now. I don't get why, but you know, Booker T one has the greatest moment on mic of all time when he goes full on, just he lost it and just says the N bomb to Hogan, but it's the best moment in broadcast history for wrestling ever. So
it so is. You're like, how could you top that? You called this like this white as hell, like legendary, like of all people, like he's like blonde hair, blue eye, American Dream, all that shit. Of all wrestlers that you could pick from, you called him one on live TV. You to go.
You know what I love about that moment also is that you could like the reason it happened was that he was so in character in that moment that he was just like speaking like as if this was happening in real life. So the commitment, the moment, the song, it was never one of my favorites, but now that you're mentioning it, just because it's attached to Harlem Heat, I mean, the wrestlers made the song. You know what I'm saying in this case?
It's got a very 90s like hip hop beat to it too. Like I like the little touches that they add. Like it sounds like banging on a trash can. They add like a little synth. They add like some little keyboards and shit.
One of those like push button pad things everybody uses. It was just some nerdy white guy at WCW like, fucking listen to this, guys. I'm fucking this. You remember a movie? 3-6 Mafia. What was that movie with Terrence Howard they made that they won the Oscar for?
Hard Out Here for a Pimp. I always like that's what everybody calls it. Hard Out Here for a Pimp? No.
Hustle and Flow.
Hustle and Flow.
Scene in that movie where the white guy's making the beat for that, like the hard fucking song. That's what I envisioned something happening in WCW. Some nerd like on a pad, like, hey, Booker T, listen to this fucking shit. And they were just like, oh, oh, Booker T, dude. I mean, what a legend.
So who you got?
Well, Steve, not only does my song come with a lot of hype from previous episodes, but my song comes with a dance and words. So I'm going to just share just the opening bars of this song just to give you just a little taste. And then I'm just going to I'll rock the dance, but let me just get the rhythm here, Steve. So this song opens up with the bars come and then it goes, well, I met this lady and I told her quite a story, said I love her forevermore. But the problem is I tell the same old story to ever go and walk through the door, say what? And what I never realized, first of all, you have to agree, motherfucker. Jive Soul Bro all day. This should have been number one, but it's number two. But this song is performed from the perspective of Slick the Pimp. I never even realized that. If you look at all the words to this song, he's the one singing this song, Steve. Or at least from his perspective. So Jive Soul Bro featuring Slick the Pimp and featuring backup dancing by Akeem the African Dream. It featured, like I said, hot beat, hot bars. And just like a Soulja Boy hit, he's got a dance to go with the fucking song. So it all matches, Steve. If this wasn't wrestling, it would have caught on in the fucking clubs. So I'm sorry. Round two goes to Akeem. I'm sorry.
Perfect.
Well, you know it doesn't match the goddamn decade because that's an 80s song. No! And Akeem, disqualified for that
Disqualified.
round.
I'm sorry. I should have done my fucking, God damn it, Steve. I fucking had the bars. I recited the bars.
I wasn't going to say shit because I knew you were going to do that. And I love that song too. It's actually probably in my top 5 of all wrestling intros. But yeah, that was a part of the Twin Towers when he was with Big Boss Man, and they ended up breaking up and Akeem would leave. So technically, I think 1990, they were still together up until WrestleMania 6, I believe.
I mean, just let's give the man his flowers. I'm going to take the DQ in this round and give it to you because not only out of respect for you in this game, but because of the aforementioned use of Booker T's ultimate promo. So Steve wins round 2. I got to give it to him. I'm sickened right now.
Round 3.
All right, man. Now, this next one, it's a little near and dear, both of our hearts, quite literally with one of us. It's none other than the bad guy himself. Hail.
Hey Chico. Dude, also if you watch like when they were introducing this character, did they just say shoot act like Scarface? Was that just the mandate on Scott Hall? Like, you're Scarface. Like, that's all this is. Or, you're his second in command,
I can't remember exactly how the story went. I want to say he took his inspiration from Scarface. As far as the whole get up, the persona and all of that, a lot of that goes to Scott Hall. I don't feel like Vince and his crew completely wound up that battery, put that battery in the back, man. I think he kind of gave them pieces to work with, and he just took the rest and ran with it, man.
But like, think about how generic that character could have been. And that's how good Scott Hall was at his peak, because I'm wearing the fucking shirt and there's a reason I thought that guy, I don't know why his character stuck with me. I think it was his finishing move in reality, but just the vibe, again, a shit talker, an anti-hero, just somebody who is a fucking just a badass like persona like this is what I loved about wrestling. And definitely, I can't believe I didn't pick it. But it wasn't your favorite wrestler. It was your favorite theme song. So is it my favorite theme song? Not necessarily, but Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, whatever you want to call him, he's in my Mount Rushmore of wrestlers. So salute to you for featuring him. I respect that.
Oh yeah, man. Now, who you got?
I'm going to clean this one up, Steve, because I'm picking somebody I know is near and dear to both of our hearts as well. And that is the DX theme song. Bam, bam, bam. So the reason why, I mean, I don't really have to explain why. We've both talked ad nauseum about why we love DX, things we loved about DX. If you've never seen the DX promo tape that they released, one of the greatest pieces of promotional material I've ever watched. But this song, we talked about Limp Bizkit earlier in the episode, and to me, this was the Limp Bizkit song of this era. This was like the fuck you song. They were the fuck you group, and they made wrestling cool. Like, for me, it was like somebody that even that didn't like wrestling had a DX shirt. People knew Suck It, and I wrote in this, and I remember this specifically. They released an album of the hit songs, the theme songs at one point. And I had a driver's license. I had the fucking CD, and I was driving around Perrysburg, Ohio, banging DX theme song just ad nauseum. So I even think, didn't Rage or somebody do a remix of who was it?
No, I used to think it was actually Rage, but the guy, he had dreads. He kind of had the Zach look. He had the dreads.
Yeah.
He had a nose that kind of stood out. But that guy's actually passed away. He sounds a lot like Zach De La Roca, but no, that wasn't Rage at all.
Well, for one moment in history, that guy who was ripping off Zach De La Roca's vibe and his energy, he made a hit fucking song. And this shit was fucking fire when you heard it on an episode and you knew they were about to come out, whether it was Triple H, fucking Shawn, the New Age Outlaws, X-Pac, whoever. I just love this. You can go back and forth on NWO and DX. I love both their theme songs, but to me, the DX theme song, when you just want to listen to a get pumped song, this song was it was like a jock jams for me almost,
Oh, easily, man. Even the breakdown makes you want to do some Beavis and Butthead shit.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and then didn't they get like, wasn't Run DMC? Didn't they do a like the King of Rock? Woo, the King of Rock. What? It was something like somebody did rap remix, or there was some other shit that was hot. But if we're just going pure theme song, we don't need any addition. Just take the bass DX theme song. I'm in. I loved it.
Just got tired of doing what you're telling me to do, but that's a break, boy.
Yeah. That's a break, little man.
Break it down. Dude, you know what? I love Razor's theme song, but I give that to you, man.
Okay. I gotta say, right now we're tied 1-1-1. I think we tied the first round. You got the second because of a DQ, and I'll take the third. So
round 4.
Where are we at, Steve? I mean, you better come with a banger now, because the last
I feel like
just heavy hitters. So,
well, I feel like the DX theme song is a part of our teenage soundtrack. It kind of spoke to a generation, our generation. But there's another song that doesn't have lyrics. Once again, that definitely was the soundtrack of not just our generation, but also my life personally. Because when I went into those classrooms in Perrysburg High School, this is the song that would go through my head.
Give me a hell yeah. I mean,
that's the bottom line.
I can't even argue with that, Steve. And I don't want to like soft sell mine now, but I mean, to go against Stone Cold, the vibe of it. See, here's one where the vibe of the song matched the wrestler in a way. It was like kismet that he got that song. Whoever wrote that or made that, you are a true artist.
Jim Johnston, yeah, he is the brainchild behind a lot of those WWF classics. He's a one-man band.
That motherfucker. So, Stone Cold Steve Austin. What more can you say? The guy's still around. He's another wrestler who became more than a wrestler. He's just Stone Cold. You know, he's famous for wrestling, but he's just now famous for being a straight up hard ass. Which,
oh hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love him. He's just a badass motherfucker. Now, I'm gonna take it back, Steve. This was used in the 90s. It might trickle back into the 80s, but this is one of those that I know is gonna just hit a sentimental nerve on you. And maybe a patriotic nerve, Steve, because when I was little, I didn't like them. I didn't like bad guys. I like good guys. And the ultimate good guy, Hulkster, bro. So I am a real American. For the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life. I mean, you just can't. It might be cheesy, but when I hear that song, I want to just wave that fucking flag around. I want to make some muscles, and it's a banger. Maybe I wouldn't listen to it, but I can't. It's never gonna not be in my head. You know what I mean? It's that good.
I can't be mad at you, man, because whenever you listen to that song, you're not gonna lose. It's like the perfect montage song on some Rocky IV type shit. Like I'm going to listen to that song. I'm going to do like 70,000 push-ups in a minute, and I am going to get a promotion when I leave this house. Oh, you haven't even got to work today. Nope. I think you need a promotion. Okay. Is it because I was listening to I'm a Real American? Like, good things happen when you listen to I Am a Real American. You get the girl of your dreams. You beat up the bully, and
I just feel like if this wasn't like a theme song in wrestling, the video would have been like one of those 90s Bon Jovi videos where they're on like a cliff and like a helicopter's going around them, and their gross like 80s hair metal band hairs just going in the wind, and they're just fucking Sambora's just like shredding. And there's just moments in this song that are just, if it wasn't going to be in wrestling, it would have been in like a Transformers movie or something, in like a montage. And it just, every time Hulkster, you know, there was a moment in every Hulk Hogan match where he's down and out. And he's got to pull like the energy of the Hulkamania into his body. And he's going to start shaking his head. And that gross Asian doll hair that's sweaty is going to start going around. And his eyes are going to widen. And his hot dog skin's going to tighten up. And he's going to get up. He's going to overcome. And this song is going to play after he drops that leg on some unfortunate soul. So to me, that's what I remember about this song, Steve. And I can see that you love it too. So I don't know what to call this round. This is like good guy or like, I don't know, 90s versus late 90s. This is just two heavy hitters, and I don't know who to call the winner of.
It's crazy that you call out Hogan after I call out Stone Cold, because Hogan was the guy who originally brought me to the yard. Stone Cold was the guy who brought me back to the yard when I escaped. And
I'm with you.
I mean,
we're going to call this a draw, Steve. This is all about love anyway. I don't really think we need a winner, because this is about honoring these amazing, first of all, the people made the song, but just wrestling as a whole back then. Like what we're talking about, think of all the work that went into this, and that's why this shit's so banging, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And,
I don't remember the words, because I don't even remember the words to like actual songs I remember, but I remember the words to this shit. So
I gotta be a man. I can't let it slide. I am a real American.
I mean, just the soul of that song, just it's like the triumphant nature. It just makes you want to just drop a leg on some motherfucker, dude. Some like communist, you know, just like some guy in a Russian military uniform. You just give him a big boot and drop a leg on him and just walk away to this song like in slow motion, you know. It is what it is. So we're gonna call this a draw, Steve. So we're in the last round. This is the rubber match, Steve. You could potentially win this versus if your pick's good, but I'll tell you one thing: you better came with a fire, because my fucking pick, I know we both like it. So let me know. Let's see what your pick is first.
Final round.
Well, when it comes to my wrestling entrance theme songs, I like a lot of bang. I like loud guitars. I like a lot of amplification, a lot of reverb. But I also like bars. The hip hop fan in me likes good hip hop. Okay. Lines that rhyme. So we gotta break the wall down. I don't even know what he's saying, but he was spitting.
I mean, and Chris Jericho, we're both huge fans, and this one, I actually, as an alternate, picked his WCW theme song. That one that was like a ripoff of Even Flow. When he came out, it was like,
yeah.
You know what I'm talking. It was like just like a Pearl Jam instrumental, basically. But this one, yeah, when it starts off with like a break the walls down, I mean, you're just pumped. And like you, Steve, I respect bars. I respect guitar riffs, just shredding, face melting, you know, tasty licks going on. So I respect this. And I love Chris Jericho, Y2J. Call him what you will, but the motherfucker is one of my favorite wrestlers too. So Stinko Malenko, he made Stinko Malenko famous. He took Rey Mysterio's mask. He took Mexican wrestlers' masks off in a time that was unheard of. And he was just a character his whole, like he's had to sort of become different things as his career's evolved, but he's always done it and he's always succeeded. So, hey, Chris, love you. And I love your pick, Steve. But
and he can sing, baby.
And that's true. But Steve, it's weird. We're vibing on this versus, and I love this because you have a song with a call to action. You know, it's got some bars, whatever you want to call it. But my song, it has the ultimate call to action. So I think we both love this tag team. You actually referenced it in a new episode of Crushgasm coming soon. But
Okay.
my song starts off with, "Oh, you didn't know? Ba-na-na-na. Your ass better call somebody." Da-na-na-na. Ba-na-na-na. The Road Dogg, Jesse James, the Badass Billy Gunn. We are the New Age Outlaws, and if you don't like it, you can suck it. So, I mean, Steve, it might not be the best song, but goddamn, I don't know if they're my favorite tag team, but this is one of the most hilarious, most greatest entrances of all time. The call to action, and also, like, I don't know if you agree with this statement, but I felt like Road Dogg was always sort of the comedic, I guess, call him the Flavor Flav, if you will, of the DX Mafia, you know? So I always loved him. He was always funny anytime he was on the mic. But because of this song, he always had the opportunity to drop that specific thing. And it was like a common language. If I went to you in high school and went, or even now, if I go, "Oh, you didn't know," you could immediately go to continue the sentence. So that's all I gotta say about that, Steve.
Or even saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, D Generation X proudly brings to you the WWF Tag Team Champions of the World."
So good. And again, how good DX as like a whole was, the concept, the people that they had involved, and just hitting it out of the fucking park, just like we did on this Versus. So I'm not, to be honest with you, Steve, I'm gonna have to call this a draw. If I'm the ref, I can't call a winner on this.
Yeah, you got to let the people decide anyways, man. You know, I don't want to embarrass you, man. You know I have the best shit. Why does it look like I have horns coming out of my head? Oh, yeah, it's Chris Jericho.
Right. Steve's an alien, you guys. Steve's an alien. But hey, you killed it. I mean, you can say you had the best shit, but you know I had the best shit. You're just
no, you had some slappers, dog. Man, the motherfucking Hogan shit, like that's classic. I mean, no matter how old I get, man, it will always awaken the Hulkamaniac.
You just get fucking fired up. I don't know what else to say. Is it something I'd listen to? Like if I heard that song and it wasn't Hulk Hogan's song, would I like it? I don't know. It's like, it reminds me, remember that song in the 80s? It was like, remember, and also Mark Wahlberg sang this as Dirk Diggler in Boogie Nights. You got the touch. You got the power. It's very much on that like wavelength, but it's so much better than that song. So
no doubt. Now, any callbacks, takeaways, honorable mentions, Matthew?
Well, I'm gonna just weave this into a promo for Crushgasm because it sort of connects to both. But Steve, for everybody, all of our listeners who's been hotly anticipating Steve on our sister podcast, Crushgasm, actually, by the time you listen to this, the episode's already out, and it is a fucking banger. It's hilarious. Kendra and Steve have a great conversation, but within that, you brought up something that I'm gonna make some merch based off of this idea that you said, but you were asked, if we were a tag team, who would we go against? And you said the New Age Outlaws. And even more interestingly, you came up with a tag team name for our prospective tag team called the Real Motherfucking G's. And I love it. And all I got to say is salute to Steve for basically coming up with our wrestling persona and paving the way for us to eventually become the greatest tag team of all time. So
I know you watching, Vince. The future is right here.
We're both sexy. We're both flexy, Vince. So get on our level, and we'll come in. We'll bring them butts back to those seats if they're not already there. So that's my call. What about you, Steve? I mean, my head's still spinning. Hopefully, I don't even know what to think anymore. But any calls of action to you?
Well, growing up, man, when Woodstock 99 happened, I just thought, man, this is the one that I gotta be at because it has everybody, especially at that time in 99. But in retrospect and in reality, I would not enjoy this shit. I don't do mud activities, and DMX at one point had hundreds of thousands of white people saying "my nigga," and I just don't know if my nerves. It's bad enough I went to Perrysburg High School. I just don't know if I could take hundreds of thousands of under the influence. I don't know. And then on top of that, being malnourished and dehydrated. Nah, but to watch that shit from the comfort of my home, I can totally dig it still to this day. And on Over the Culture, man, I'm talking about Biz Markie, R.I.P. to the legend. He was more than just a MC, a rapper. He had the personality. I feel like a Macho Man, Randy Savage, to the point where you're known. Yeah, initially you're known as a rapper, but your personality exceeds your respective craft. I would hear that voice on Kit Kat commercials. You would see him on Yo Gabba Gabba. He just had an affable personality. So I'm talking about him. A little bit about Hunter S. Thompson because his birthday was on July 15th or July 18th. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I'm going to be talking about Batman, The Dark Knight. It was the 13th anniversary, and not just the impact that it had on comic book films, but pop culture overall, man. A lot of Marvel movies, they kind of patterned their style after Dark Knight. That was the one that set the tone. A lot of things were real cartoonish before this, and Dark Knight kind of changed the game. Chris Nolan was like, let's go gritty with it. Let's get in the mud. And even Ryan Coogler, he said that it was an inspiration to his look in Wakanda and to creating the Wakanda look. The Dark Knight, man. So very influential movie. Still, my favorite Joker is Jack Nicholson, but that's a whole nother story. But please like, share, subscribe. This is Steve G, Matt G. What happened in the 90s?